My best friend and my boyfriend were secretly seeing each other behind my back. I found out on a random Tuesday evening. I didn't cry. I didn't confront them. I just started planning. This is what happened next.
I want you to imagine something for me. Imagine you're sitting at your own kitchen table, eating cereal, scrolling through your phone on a Tuesday morning. And the whole world you built for yourself is already on fire. You just don't know it yet. The smoke hasn't reached you. The flames are quiet. And the two people who started it are sitting somewhere, laughing, thinking you'll never find out. Now imagine you do find out. And instead of screaming, instead of crying, instead of falling apart the way they probably expected, you just go very, very still. That's where my story starts. Not with the betrayal, with the stillness. Her name was Camille Ortega, with the dark curly hair she always complained about, and the laugh that could fill a whole cafeteria. We'd been best friends since 7th grade when she sat next to me in English and whispered that our teacher's toupee was slowly sliding to the left. I had laughed so hard I got sent to the hallway. She got sent with me. We were inseparable after that. 5 years. 5 years of sleepovers and shared secrets and inside jokes that nobody else understood. 5 years of her crying on my shoulder about boys and me crying on hers. She was my emergency contact in my phone. She knew my Wi-Fi password, my lock combination, my greatest fears. She knew that I was terrified of becoming invisible, of going through life unnoticed. She knew that because I had told her. I should have been more careful about who I handed my fears to. And then there was Marcus. Marcus Webb, who played guitar badly but confidently, who smelled like cedar and clean laundry, who had a habit of tucking a strand of hair behind my ear whenever he was listening to me. We'd been together 8 months. 8 months that felt like something real. Not the dramatic, chaotic kind of high school relationship that implodes after 3 weeks, but something quieter, something I thought had roots. He'd met Camille the same day he met me at Jordan Park's birthday party last October. They'd shaken hands. She'd smiled at him, that wide, generous smile she gave everyone. And I remember thinking, good, she likes him. I remember feeling relieved. I was an idiot. Looking back, the red flags were always there. I just didn't speak that language yet. Like how Camille would get strangely quiet when I talked about Marcus and me. I assumed it was because she was going through her own breakup at the time, and I felt guilty talking about happiness when she was hurting. So I'd cut myself off mid-sentence sometimes, change the subject. I was protecting her feelings. She was never protecting mine. Or how Marcus started taking longer to answer my texts. Not dramatically, not the kind of thing you could call someone out on, just a few extra minutes. Then sometimes an hour. He always had a reason. Practice, family stuff, fell asleep, small, reasonable lies that stack up so slowly you don't notice the weight until you're already crushed under it. Or the time I showed up at Camille's house unannounced because I'd baked her birthday brownies, and she answered the door looking flushed, her hair slightly undone, and told me she'd just woken up from a nap. It was 4 p.m. on a Saturday. I handed her the brownies. She hugged me too tightly. I didn't think anything of it. I thought I knew these people. It happened on a Tuesday. Unremarkable in every way. Cloudy sky, leftover pizza for lunch, a history test I was pretty sure I'd aced. Camille had asked to borrow my iPad the week before. Her laptop charger had broken, she said, and she needed it to finish a group project. I'd said yes without thinking. She'd kept it for a few days and returned it without a word, just slid it into my backpack during homeroom. That Tuesday evening, I was lying on my bed, looking for a study playlist, when I opened the Safari browser and saw she'd forgotten to log out of her iCloud messages. I almost closed it. I almost just logged her out without reading anything because that's who I was. Respectful, trusting. The kind of person who doesn't snoop. I had no reason to snoop. My relationship was fine. My friendship was fine. But something made me pause. There was a thread near the top. Recent. The contact name was just a letter. M. My throat tightened before my brain caught up with why. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself I was being paranoid. My hands were already shaking a little as I tapped the thread open, and then the room. I swear the room tilted, like the floor had shifted 2 inches to the left and everything was suddenly wrong. The messages went back 4 months. 4 months. I won't quote all of them. I can't. Even now, even after everything, reading them back in my memory does something ugly to my chest. But I'll tell you what I saw. Messenger. I keep thinking about you when I'm with her. It's messing with my head. Camille. Then stop seeing her. Messenger. I can't just do that. You know how she is. She'll fall apart. She'll fall apart. He thought I would fall apart. He had already imagined my reaction, filed it away, and used it as an excuse to keep lying. He wasn't staying with me out of love. He was staying with me out of pity, convenience, the comfort of knowing I was too devoted to question anything. I kept scrolling. My hands had gone cold. Camille, does she suspect anything? Messenger. No, she trusts me completely. That's the worst part. That's the worst part. Not the cheating, not the lying. The fact that I trusted him. My trust was the inconvenient complication in his story. I put the iPad face down on my bed. I sat very still. My heartbeat was doing something strange. Not racing, but deep and heavy, like a drum being played slowly in a large, empty room. My eyes were completely dry. That scared me more than the shaking had. I thought I should be crying. I thought I should be calling someone. I thought I should feel something that made sense. Instead, I felt myself go somewhere I'd never been before. A quiet, cold, clear place inside myself. A place where grief hadn't arrived yet, but something else had. Something with sharper edges. I picked the iPad back up. I read every single message. I didn't miss one. I could have confronted them that night. Part of me wanted to. The part that was 17 and hurt and had spent 5 years thinking Camille Ortega was the safest person in my world. That part of me wanted to call her screaming, wanted to show up at Marcus's door and make him look at me while I showed him what I'd found. But I thought about what that would accomplish. I thought about how Marcus would get defensive and gaslight me. I thought about how Camille would cry and say she was sorry and turn it into a conversation about her feelings, and I would end up somehow comforting her. I had watched her do this in arguments before. She cried beautifully, strategically. She didn't even know she did it. If I confronted them now, I had one message thread and a lot of pain. They would survive it. They'd feel bad for a few weeks, people at school would take sides, and eventually it would all quietly become that thing that happened and dissolve into the background of junior year. No, I wanted something different. I wanted clarity. I wanted the full picture. And I wanted them to feel, for at least a moment, exactly the way I felt in that bedroom on that Tuesday. Blindsided. Exposed, and small. So I made a decision. I was not going to react. I was going to watch. The next morning, I walked into school like nothing had happened. I hugged Camille in the hallway. I felt her arms around me, and I kept my face neutral, and I thought, I know. I kissed Marcus on the cheek and smiled up at him, and I thought, I know, I know. I know. They had no idea. I started paying attention to everything, quietly, carefully, like I was studying a building I was about to demolish. I started keeping a journal, not for my feelings, for facts, dates, times, observations. My grades went up, I got my hair trimmed, I wore the outfits I'd always talked myself out of. I was building something they couldn't touch, and they had absolutely no idea what was coming. And that's where I'm stopping today. Part 2 is coming very soon. The evidence, the plan, the night everything came out in front of everyone, and a confession I never saw coming. One that will change everything you think you know about this story. Subscribe so you don't miss it, because the best part hasn't happened yet.